right, let's have some fun and let's talk about you being able to do some magical things in your life in terms of multiplying your efforts and exploding your income. See, in anything you want to do, it starts with you. You get a vision, you get a dream, you get a plan. This always comes first, but then you start to make it a reality. And the idea is you want to go and have incredible success. You want to do big things. That's the whole idea of having fun. So what happens with ordinary things when you're working by yourself, as you start out, you start with your own activity. You start to make it happen. You're the only one on board, and you got 24 hours in the day. And in most situations, if it's only you, you're going to hit a ceiling and you're going to be limited. And so you've got limitations of time and you've got insecurity. This graph here is the income graph. This is the time graph. Now, none of us know how long we want to live. That's a question mark. So the idea is to make as much happen in a short period of time while we do have time and drive this income up. You find something you're excited about here, you're going to be able to put your energy and really max out your 24 hours. But sooner or later, you're going to max out how much income you're going to be able to generate for yourself. And so what the recruiting rules allow you to do, through recruiting, you can build a team, and that gives you the chance for unlimited income, unlimited security, because it doesn't come from just you working. You can do this activity as long as you're healthy, but if something happens to knock your health out, you go back to zero again. So the excitement about recruiting and team building is you can now put your efforts into prospecting for recruits. You can still generate sales because they're going to be getting the product themselves. They're going to need to be trained, which is going to generate sales. They're going to be recruiting themselves and training people, generating sales. They're going to be out making sales on their own, which gives you override. So you go from making income one way here to multiple ways. So what happens is, once you get some recruits, you're going to have people actually say yes to you. Don't get depressed. They won't all say no. So you're going to get some recruits. Then you get into the training stage. Now, as they get trained and able to go on their own, you start expanding the limitations and breaking through your limitations of you only having 24 hours in the day. They're not going to do any good if you don't train them. Then you get up there, and if you've done a good job, gotten the good people in, got them trained, get them functioning on their own, now you can get into the last stage, which is compounding. And compounding is where the magic happens. It's where you can get into popcorn type growth, because it's not just you doing it, it's your people doing it and the people they've trained doing it, and it takes on a life of its own. They call it the magic of numbers. Let's see where the recruiting rules fit in. I'm going to go through these very quickly. Hopefully down the road I'm going to do an expanded thing on these rules, explain them one by one. Right now we're going to just roll through them very quick so you can see where they fit. We're going to look at this graph, and we're going to be launching a project going big time. It's going to start with you. The first recruiting rules start, and they're oriented towards you getting yourself mentally organized for success. It all starts with you. So the first thing is, you've got to make recruiting your number one focus. You've got to get clear in your mind why you're doing it, and the purpose of your recruiting is to grow your team. You're adding business partners to your team. The third recruiting rule is about you, and that is you got to be confident. You got to do your preparation, your homework. You got to investigate this thing. You got to look at it as a client, unleash your skepticism, make sure you've got any question you could think of and get that answered where you're totally confident and ready to go out and have answers when people give you the same thing. You got to have a big goal. You're never going to activate that fire that's in you, that greatness you're capable of achieving, going for something timid. Big goals are a way of telling yourself to get, your subconscious, get serious about this. We mean business. And it's not about perfection. It's about prospecting. You cannot let yourself get beat down when, everybody you run into doesn't say yes right off the bat. You got to have a perspective about it. Even in baseball, if you get a hit 1 out of 3 times, you're batting .333, you're going to be an all-star. And if you do that in your career, you're going to go to the Hall of Fame. So it's not about perfection. It's about prospecting activity, continuing to move forward. And all of those 5 go to step one. So here we are again. We're moving on to the next batch. So we've gotten through this phase. Now we're moving into your activity. You're getting started. You're making it happen. You're setting the stage for all of the stuff that will come after. You're maximizing your 24 hours in the day. And so how can you maximize that from a recruiting and team building aspect? Well, let's start with rule 6. That's be smart, play the odds. Don't try and reinvent the system. Don't stop when everybody doesn't say yes. A lot of recruiting is a matter of timing. Just because they say no today doesn't mean they're going to say no tomorrow. So you got to keep yourself focusing on your activity rather than your responses. And recruiting will become an all-time thing. You got to look at everybody as a potential recruit and evaluate them. Would they be good on our team? You're always thinking recruiting. How can I get in front of more people? The people you're in front of, are they the kind of people I want on my team? Recruiting is an all-the-time thing. By the way, folks, on all of these points, again, we've got a handout that's got 5 or 6 points under each one. You can get that on my website at weidelandwinning.com. Sign up for the email, and for being a member of our subscribers, you can get your own copy of this. And I've got detail, and I'm going to have further detail when I get my advanced workshop done, and I'll go into each one of these points one by one and expand them, because there's a lot of thinking behind it, but this is just the overview. And so number 9 is the best recruits are going to be your friends, because you know their background, they know you. You can get to the point a lot quicker. Best recruits and the best recruiting cycles is always friend to friend. And that's not just true in your business, it's true even in companies. They'd always rather recruit someone they know or somebody who's a friend of someone who already works at the company. Don't let duds slow you down. Not everybody's going to get the picture. Not everybody's going to have positive things to say. When you run into duds, you've got to understand their mentality, and don't let duds get depressed and you bogged down trying to get into an endless debate of where you can make sense to them. A dud is a dud. Let them go find something else to be excited about. You got to keep moving. Prospect with questions. When you make statements, you're throwing things out there people can argue with. And you're not interested in an argument. You're interested in getting people's curiosity up so they'll be interested. You can find out if they have any interest in what you've got to offer. So you're going to be throwing questions out there to kind of snag people, get their curiosity up, getting them listening, and that allows you the chance to get them talking. And the more they talk to you, the more successful you'll be, and the more things you'll find out about them, and it gives you a certain power. So use questions to prospect. Questions give you power. So let's now move up to phase 3. This is where what happens when you actually find some people. You've gotten yourself going, you've gotten your activity going, and now you're moving up to where you're going to be training. So what do you do? What's the focus of your training new people? You got to train them, because that's where you get the results. The payoff starts to come in. First of all, realize working as a team increases your odds. Now you don't have to go out there alone. Now you have somebody with you. You're not sending them out alone. You're going out with them. There's power in teamwork. It takes quantity to find quality. There's no shortcuts on finding great people. It's just like in basketball. If you want to find a Michael Jordan, you got to have hundreds of thousands or millions of people, you sort through to find, the extraordinary talent. We don't have to go through millions, but you have to do more than 1 or 2. The more you recruit, the more you increase your odds that your best out of the group is going to be really special. It's like digging for gold. Take quantity to find quality, and the best way to find a new recruit is to train a current recruit. They have friends, they have contacts that they'd like to get on board. The quickest way to get your next appointment, get the next person on board is train a new recruit. The worst way is to go cold calling. This is like trying to fish by taking, just going out in some mud puddle somewhere and throwing a hook in there and hoping you catch a trout. You know, you've got to work in the right markets. You've got to work in the warm markets. And when you work with friends or you work with your own recruits, you know them. They have their networks of contacts that they're familiar with, know some things about them. When you do cold calling, you know nothing about their background. And that's why the odds are so low. When you're talking to people, another thing in the training is be honest. Don't exaggerate. If you're doing the right kind of business, you don't have to exaggerate. You can't build long term with quality people if you're shading the truth and you're not building a firm foundation. People will not stay with you. You know, they'll smell a rat. You know, they'll start wondering. So be honest. Let it stand on its own merits. And a recruit, if you want them to stay with you, you got to get them a recruit as fast as possible, because a recruit is not a recruit. You've got to look at it as they're not going to be permanent with me until they get a recruit of their own. Next and last one to this group of the training group is realize most sales are going to be a byproduct of looking for and training new recruits. Since recruiting is your number one focus, here you don't have to worry about where the sales are going to come from. The sales are going to come from working with your new recruits and looking for your next batch. So that's the training focus for the recruiting rules. And now let's go to start in with 19. Let's look again where we are. We've gone through you've gotten busy. You've gotten some recruits on board. Now you've got them trained. Now you get the big payoff, the compounding. This is where magic can happen for you, and you can go and reach levels of growth, again, on your own down here as far as you could go. You get people on board, you get them trained, you get into the compounding effect where they're now going on their own, and real magic can happen to your career, your business, your income. And so the rules applying in here, keeping everything on track. 19, every recruit's a part-time manager candidate. If you have them focused on not just stalling out when they learn the sales aspect, but going through that to management, to training other people, you keep your recruit progressing in their career and your business compounding. And what you do to find stars, every team needs stars. Stars come when you taproot 4 deep underneath each recruit. In other words, every recruit gets a recruit, who gets a recruit, who gets a recruit. It's digging deep for gold. Usually you never have to go more than 4 deep to find a real star. To keep your recruiting effort compounding, once you get people involved and moving, what you want to control that culture and keep the language of recruiting as a part of the daily activity and conversation in your meetings. There's different terms recruiters talk about that goes beyond the sales thing, to challenge people to think of possibilities. Maintaining momentum by making recruiting growth your number one goal. You've gone from recruiting to be your number one goal to recruiting growth to be your number one goal there. That means you want your team to see if your team is good enough to grow and stretch your total recruiting number a little bit bigger each month. And so that allows you to maintain your momentum and counterbalance any kind of upsets or interruptions in your business there. So you focus on making recruiting growth your new number one goal. And then the last one is remembering recruiting's attraction process. Everybody wants things to look for something that's exciting, that has a magnetism to where people are turned on. They're having results. They're building a way of life that's paying off for them. And so what you want to do is put your best foot forward and keep your best foot forward. All the positives about your business and all the positives happening to all the people inside your business. And that allows new people to see these are the things that can happen to me. You never want to get those things clouded or pushed to the back because of some kind of new product or new initiative or new focus that comes out of headquarters. You want to keep recruiting, and you keep your attraction, you keep your excitement, your attitude, your energy up, so that you can stay in a maximum attraction mode for the entire organization. So anyway, those are the 23 recruiting rules. That's where they apply. Hopefully that's helpful. You can get the brochure explaining these rules at weidelandwinning.com. Keep your eye out. I hope to put out in the future an advanced workshop where I go into all of these things with a lot more depth. But this is enough to get you going. Hopefully you'll be launching your career and multiplying your efforts by making recruiting pay off for you.